During last weekend locals, I went 5-0. Just playing Unchained, pure Unchained, no Labyrinth, not yugioh, just Unchained. And I think this version of the deck actually is pretty budget. I don't run the SP, and I still managed to do pretty well during the tournament. I don't recall any time during the tournament where I was actually worried I might lose. The deck performed really well, even for it being a budget deck, even for Charvara being at 1. I think that if you want to compete and not break the bank, this is a great, fun option to build, right? Just gonna get with the deck profile so that you guys can see what I actually played. So for the starters, we got the 3 tour guide along with the Fiendish Shrine Warrior. People are cutting this to 1, but I still think it's the best normal summon for this deck. It gives you Fiendish Shrine Warrior, and Fiendish Shrine Warrior, even though it's brick, it does give you the Charvara, which is a trap, or any fiend basically. So you can actually set up Shayama if you already have the Charvara. It opens up lots of lines of play, and it is an Emperor and Veiler Magnet, an Ash Magnet. So even if this gets hand trapped, and if you do have another extender like Aruha, Triple Aruha, you will be able to play it, right? Now we only play 3 normal summons along with the Sharama and the Rikia. Sharama you don't really want to open. Rikia is not that bad. I was running 2. I opted to play 1 for this tournament, and I kind of missed the second. But I was also testing out the tour guide at 1, which made it a bit different. The lines are a bit different, but still functioned pretty well, pretty consistent. I rarely bricked. I rarely opened the Sarama. Open Rikia with tour guide more times than I can count, but that's okay. Lastly, we have the Shayama, the 1 Charvara, and the Abominable Unchained Soul. So this and this are bricks. Even if you open this, you can kind of unbrick your hand by summoning the Abominable, pitching the Shayama to destroy one of your cards, and that way you have the Shayama in graveyard. If you have the Jama in graveyard, you can set up the DD. But there are other combo lines which end up on the DD with the Unchained Soul on the graveyard, along with a trap setup. So it's a pretty strong trap, a pretty strong setup against the meta. And next we have Abomination's Prison 3. This is just consistency. This can search any Unchained card, but it is not an Unchained card, just so you know. And on Destruction, if it was set, it does summon another one from deck, which is really cool. So this can act either as a searcher or an extender. If you open multiple, you can just set 1 and use the other one. And we have 1 Wailing of the Unchained Souls. This is just an extra name for you to set and be able to destroy. It's also a good going second card, since when you link, you can actually destroy a card your opponent controls, which can come in handy sometimes. It doesn't really come up that often, but it's actually practical, right? We also have the honorary Unchained package, which is the DDD with the Byzantine Requiem. This is insane. This package, I actually really like it. It's great going first, since if you open this and any trap or spell, it's basically a full combo. And going second, you can threaten the opponent with Zeus plays and with destruction, and this actually wins in time because it does gain you 1,000 life points. So that is something to keep in mind. If you have multiples, if you open like multiple gates, and you can set up the Machinex, you can just pass on the Machinex, right? Sometimes even if you brick, the Machinex in itself with a contract is a great piece of interruption. I kind of wish sometimes during the tournament I ran a second target for the contract, because there comes a time where you brick on the contracts if you draw it late game, right? But it doesn't really matter that much. Next, for the traps, it's the, well, this is just Unchained cards, just Unchained Engine. It's 3 Escape and 2 Abominable Chamber of the Unchained. So this is just consistency. You can run 3 of these if you want, but we run the Wailing as like the 3rd copy of the Chamber. This is your follow-up and this is your interruption. It's great when you can end on both. but ending on escape is kind of the prio playing this deck. There are setups where your opponent can't really play through the interruptions, but having Abominable and actually detaching Sharvara during your opponent's turn to negate with the DD and then setting the chamber for follow-up is really strong. And lastly, another honorary Unchained card is the Foolish Burial. This can get you into Sharvara, this can get you into any Fiend name, this can send Fiendish Rhino Warrior if you need to. You can also send Shayama if you need it in the graveyard at any given moment. So yeah, that's pretty cool. It's just consistency, guys, because we don't want to break. Next is the Pot of Prosperity. We run 3. This deck really needs it. We need the names in order to continue playing. There used to be a time where this was not the budget, but right now we got quite a few reprints of this pot. So I think you can get yourself a set of these, and basically it's like the most expensive card on this deck, which is not really expensive anymore, but it really boosts the consistency and the plays that you can do after the sighting. Like after sighting, you can just get into your side deck cards, but we all know that about the Prosperity, right? We know it's a great card. We also ran 2 tactics. I was opting between 2 tactics or 2 more hand traps because I ran 9 hand traps total. But the tactics was great. It's just a great going first card when you get hand traps, a great going second card when and anyone interrupts you, right? Any piece of interruption. Since we run Zeus in the extra deck, we can actually make Zeus plays or make Typhon plays. We have a lot of room with the tactics, right? It's just, and you can actually set it, which is something you cannot do with hand traps except Imprint. If you need like just an extra body and you have Aruha in hand, you can just set it and destroy it, and then summon Aruha and then just continue comboing off, right? So that can happen when something like your tour guide gets Impermed or Veiler. You can decide either do tactics and draw cards or see your hand, or just be safe and just set it and do Aruha and keep playing, right? And for the hand traps, we ran 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, and the 3 Imperms. I have no complaints on this hand trap lineup. Veiler overperformed. It was great during the whole tournament. They were all great actually. Like this list was pretty nice. I think I bricked once and I got the game just because of battle phase shenanigans with the Unchained. But it's not bad. I really like this ratio. As for the extra deck, let's see, we got the 3 Jama. So Jama is a card that people used to run it too, but right now we need the grind game, right? And if you get bestialed in one, you need to try and try to make another one in order to end with it on the graveyard for your opponent's turn. It can get you any of the follow-up. We are kind of light on chain names in the main deck, but that's okay because this is still a piece of interaction during your opponent's turn or during your turn, right? Can revive any fiend, so I think that's really relevant. It's a great card. Just run 3. Next, we run 2 of the Unchained Soul of Rage. So this is your main piece of interaction during your opponent's turn. One of the power plays this deck can do is just do Unchained Soul of Rage, link off an opponent's monster. That's 1 interruption, right? So we go into SP, banish another card, and fill the graveyard. That's the second piece of interruption. And then when an opponent activates an effect, we can actually banish the SP and another monster on the field, which can be one of theirs. And that's the third piece of interruption. But we do not run SP. We actually just usually went into either Nightmare Unicorn or just the Unchained Soul of Anguish, just to be able to destroy with escape and get that follow, right? Lastly, for the Link 2s, we have the Muckracker. I think I summoned it once. It's really useful when you need to grind or to protect your board from destruction effects, but it doesn't come up that often. It's just a fiend generic, right? Link 2. For the Link 3s, we run 2 of the Soul of Anguish. We don't have SP, so we make this more often than if we had SP, just because we usually go to it on our opponent's turn. So one thing I did a lot was just link 2 to opponent's monster, and of this, and on this, and then I had the trap, the escape to destroy another card on the field, and then this gets me a Fiend back to hand. So even though we do not have SP, we can play in other different ways, which are not bad, right? It's just not as powerful as SP, but we do not want to break the bank here, right? We just want to play a consistent budget deck, and this overperformed for it being budget. Next, we have the Nightmare Unicorn as the Link 3. This is the SP at home. We really can't make lots of plays with this. It's still great interruption. It shuffles back into the deck, so it's not as bad as people may think. It's not SP again, but still Unicorn is a menace on its own. And going second, it can just get rid of pesty cards that the opponent has. It does return the Mergeade back to deck, so even if they have Mergeade, it will not trigger in the end phase for it to destroy your monster, so that's pretty good. And finally, for the links, we ran one Unchained Abomination and one Appaloosa. So Appaloosa is pretty common to end up with her right now with the new combos. You can end in an Apple for 2, the DD Rage setup, and the Yama and Soul in Graveyard, right? You have to open some specific hands to do that, but it's pretty consistent. And the Abomination is just a great card, right? Like, it's always been there. It's an old card, but it's a great boss monster. If it hits the field and you have a way of either applying its effect by destroying a card or by entering battle with a bigger monster or a smaller monster, right? Because it triggers if a monster is destroyed by battle. Well, then you get lots of value with this card. And then in the end phase, just destroying another card, it really puts out pressure. It's often on your board because we are playing the budget version of the deck, right? But it's okay. Next, we have the XCs. For the DDDs, we have the Hiking Caesar and the Deus Machinax. 2 great cards, right? Like, these cards are insane. This is just like an extender, but you can also end up with it on your first turn board as a form of interruption. And we have the Caesar, which is just a crazy card. This deck really got hit Sharvara to 1 because of how consistent it got to. Consistently, it got to this card right here. It's a non-once per turn, not once per chain. It's just 2 times detached material and you get an effect that would special summon, right? So you negate spells, monsters, traps, anything that would special summon, and it's a beefy boy. Also, if it gets sent to the graveyard, it will add a contract from deck to hand. So that's pretty handy for the follow-up because you can detach Sharvara, set up a trap, which is follow-up on the Unchained part. And if you don't have the DDD out, the Requiem, Device King Requiem, you can just add the contract and search for it in the next turn. And even if you do have the DDD out, it's a +1, right? It's just literally a +1. Lastly, for the XYCs, I ran the Zeus and the Anti-Zeus. So Zeus came up once, but it was not really needed. It's just there because we have tactics, and when going second, you can just go into the Deus Machinax attack. He's a big boy, he's a 3k, and then pop Zeus and then delete the board, right? And Typhon is just a great board breaker. I did win a game just because the opponent ended up in dark, right? And they had no other plays. I Veiler the Dark, passed turn, they passed turn. It went into me. I normal summoned my Aruha. I didn't have much to do. I didn't want to destroy the Dark just because he would have gone on a search. And I just did the Typhon, bounced the Dark, attacked, and attacked 2 more times. It actually won me the game just because it went for direct damage. So yeah, this is it for the extra deck. Actually performed really great. Now for the side deck, this is really depending on you for your locals, but this is what I decided to run. 3 draw. I did play against the Dark World game 1, which this won me the game. This game 1, match 1, game 2, and game 3 against the same Dark World player, just a shifter, right? So either pick your poison, either you get rolled or you get shifted. Both are great cards. With Sharvara at 1, like Unchained used to main shifter, right? Before the new cards were released. because the deck can actually play through Shifter, because you just need to destroy the card. So Shifter doesn't really conflict much. Next we have the back row removal. Cosmic right now is really versatile. It's not only back row removal. You can actually get rid of stuff like the Flamberge. You can chain it to Flamberge when it will special summon from the spell and trap zone. Just chain this, then we'll have the SP. You can banish the Fire King Island and destroy their field. So that way you can bait a few pieces of interruption. And yeah, it's just great cards. Next, the Summon Limit. This card was actually goated. It was really crazy because even if you end your board and they manage to do something about it, they will not manage to break this. And during your turn or during your opponent's turn, when you do not need the Summon Limit anymore, you can just destroy with Abominable or spin it back with the Unicorn, or the Link 4 can just destroy it. So you have many ways to get rid of it. And lastly, we have the 3 match. I just like this card. I don't know if it's the best for the format, but it's just generic. It can remove lots of problem cards that can be on boards. And fields like the Snake Eyes field, right? You can just, if you can bait out a negate and then you do evenly, they will end in nothing, right? The Fire Kings is a bit different because they have the Kyrian in the hand, and they have the Runics in graveyard, and then they have the Princess too. So it's not really great against the Fire King version, but against the pure Snake Eyes, if you can bait out the negate, or if they don't end up any negates, this is a blowout, right? So yeah, I think this deck is a really solid option for it to be for it being a budget deck. If you like playing like mid-range combo decks and don't really want to break the bank, this is a great option for you. So yeah, I think this is a great option for people not wanting to break the bank. It's a really fun deck to play. It's like a mid-range combo-ish. It has many options even after ban list. Like, it's just a card that won. They did not get anything banned, so it's not like they cannot play, right? I did go 5-0, played 5 rounds. I think I won. I won only one die roll, so I went second 4 times. It's still a deck, right? And it's really fun. I really encourage you guys to try it.